Yeah, the Gaetz thing, it just is remarkable. I'm sorry, just to put a finer point on it, that like the two doors available to him were Attorney General of the United States of America and OAN host. You know what I mean? Like in other times, like when Chuck Hagel was going to be Department of Defense, and they decided not, and people were trying to push against him in the Obama times. Like, had he not gone in, like I think the alternate choice would have been, I don't know, the Brookings Institute or something serious. Yeah. It's like it's just crazy that those are the two doors. Hello and welcome to the Bulwark Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Miller. I'm here today with former GOP Congressman, our friend Adam Kinzinger, who is apparently a candidate for imprisonment, according to the president-elect, but he's out on the lam, and he is with us today. What is up, Renegade Kinzinger?
What's up? As I said, bring it. Just bring it. I mean, really, come on. Like, just throw me in jail for something you make up. Let's see what happens at that point.
Bring the dogs? That's your message to Donald Trump?
What are you going to do? You're going to make up a charge against me? That's fine. I'll be double a pain in your butt. Double it when I'm doing it from prison, because people will pay attention to that. So just bring it.
I have some more news that is added for you on this front. It's not just Donald Trump that might want to see you in jail. My colleague Andrew Egger was over on the Hill yesterday and was talking to House Republicans about Trump's claims that January 6th committee members should be in prison. Here are a couple of them. Jim Comer. If you've used a congressional committee and you've lied and tried to set people up and falsely imprison people, then you should be held accountable. Tim Burchett, Tennessee. If we find they broke the law, then they should be imprisoned. Now we know they've manipulated evidence. So if that's the case, then absolutely. Lauren Boebert, it's not looking good for them. I think anybody that has politically imprisoned American citizens and completely ruined their lives needs to be investigated. Not every House Republican agreed with them, but none were willing to publicly criticize it. Mike Lawler just mumbled. Nancy Mace smirked and ignored the question. So there you go. What do you think about that?
It's sad because, okay, first off, the question about, anybody that imprisons somebody should, well, first off, let's just be clear. The January 6th committee threw nobody in prison, right? That was the Department of Justice, right? And this is the funny thing is even the basics they get wrong. One of them said something about manipulating evidence, and Donald Trump keeps repeating this. One of the things that really ticked me off about the Welker interview is, they let him throw out BS and don't respond to it. Or if they do call him out, it's only like a one-time iteration. I think if the president is lying, you stick to that point and you don't come off of it until you get a satisfactory answer. And one of the things he keeps saying is that the January 6th committee deleted all the evidence. This is completely false. There was no evidence deleted. And in fact, if you just type in January 6th committee evidence, the govinfo.gov has all of the evidence that we collected. Has the report, all the supporting evidence, but they just make things up. And so, when my old colleagues are saying, well, if you break the law, you should be in jail. Look, I agree. If you break the law, you should be in jail. We didn't break the law. And they don't want to say we didn't break the law. They also don't want to say we broke the law. They just do this metaphorical, if you broke the law, you should be in jail. And that way it makes everybody happy. Trust me, after 10 years, they've gotten very good at not answering a question, but making whatever audience wants to hear it happy at what they heard.
Yeah. So on this point, as you rightly point out, none of you did anything wrong. No laws were broken. And so, there's kind of this pardon discussion is out there. But one of the things that I've been saying to people is like, okay, well, if you believe that Trump's just going to throw people in gulags, then the pardons aren't really going to matter because they'll just come up with some other fake reason to do it that is not covered by a pardon. But on the other hand, I think there's some people that are worried about it, looking to protect folks. I'm just wondering, kind of from your vantage point, from people you're talking to, how are people weighing the pros and cons of the preemptive pardon question over the next 40 days?
Yeah, I mean, everything I've heard is it's kind of from both sides of what you're saying. So on the one hand, it's some folks are wondering, well, why not just go ahead and do it because Donald Trump has made it clear he doesn't care about the law. And this way, at least we, prevent people from being caught up in these lies, and make it as kind of broad as he made the Hunter pardon. On the other hand, there's a lot of people that feel like, listen, if I accept a pardon, then that is in essence saying I'm guilty of something. And I think the vast majority of people are saying basically, look, we're not guilty of anything. We didn't do anything. So why would we accept a pardon? And, in essence, bring it on. So that's kind of, and the folks I'm talking to, that's kind of the different sides they're taking on it. It'll be interesting to see what the president ends up doing ultimately. I actually tend to think he probably was leaning towards the pardon thing, but probably not now. But, who knows? I was surprised at the timing on the Hunter pardon, to be honest with you, too.
Yeah, saw a poll out today that had 2 in 10 Americans, 22% supported that pardon. You wouldn't know that on Blue Sky. One other con on the pardons that can just convince me from my perspective is I was talking to one of the people that is maybe less high profile than you that would be on that list, and their concern was like getting back in the news, and like crazy people. Like I'm more concerned about crazy, if he pardons, a list of 12 people, like that puts a target on our back kind of among vigilante types. And this person is as concerned about that as they are about the Justice Department. So anyway, I thought that was
well, look, and I understand that, like, because I mean the number of what is it, the swattings that happen now? That's just like, although they did take down.
Been swatted.
Yeah, I have too, and that they did take down, by the way, a big swatting network in Eastern Europe that was actually working with people that were doing this for political reasons. They'd basically send a swatting target to these people in Eastern Europe. Yeah. That was taken down about a month and a half ago. Former FBI deputy director sent that to me, and it's a pretty big deal. And
wow.
So yeah, that was interesting. But look, here's the thing that I would send to anybody in kind of the situation I am, where it's like, yes, conceivably the president could come after you or Kash Patel. Stop. This is like my recommendation, people. Stop showing your fear in public. Like what you do is you are giving that side exactly what they want. They want you to be intimidated. This is how authoritarians work. They don't work by actually usually turning the law against you. It's just they have you fearful of it. And we talk about that anticipatory obedience where you're scared of what's going to happen, so you start obeying. Every time somebody publicly says, gosh, I'm worried that I'm going to be thrown in jail or I'm worried or whatever, you're giving the other side exactly what they want and you're encouraging them to keep using it. I think the approach to take for any of these targets is, look, bring it on. Like, honestly, just come at me, right? Because America is not going to stand for this. I mean, that's one of the things I was concerned during the election about this, but I've come to recognize, like, America is not going to stand for an abuse of the legal system like that. And I just think, look, so many people have done heroic things to this point. Just keep it up. Keep it up. We're going to get through this.
I love this. There is a little bit of fear behind the scenes. And stop showing the fear is a great message. Hell yeah, Adam. I've got Pat Ryan coming up in the next segment, so we're going to do most, some of the Democratic Party stuff with him. And he's great. He's in a swing district and really overperformed. So I'm interested in his take. But before we get to kind of the appointees, we haven't spoken since the election, you and I, besides in text. And so I'm curious if you have any kind of broad thoughts now, a month on.
Look, I'm watching TV last night with my wife after dinner, and I still look at her and I go, can you actually believe that Donald Trump is going to be president again? Yeah. I mean, and I say that probably every day. So there is, it
does feel like we're in a video game. Like, how is this real?
It's crazy. So like that'll happen. And so it's like, okay, I can't really believe we did this. How did we do this? But on the other hand, so the day after the election, I was obviously feeling like everybody, kind of in disbelief, kind of humada, what just happened? We got our bell rung. And, that lasted for maybe 72 hours. And then I finally made a decision. I'm like, you know what? Okay, this happened. Now we've got to recognize that, look, World War II is seen as this great victory by the Allies. But at Dunkirk, it looked like everything was lost. I mean, the British army was going to be slaughtered. They barely made it back to the UK. And then at that time, they're like, how do we ever take this land again? I kind of see this last election as Dunkirk. It kind of feels like we got our clock clean, but I really do think there's a huge story to be painted ahead. So yeah, look, I'm not sitting here going, I'm great, I'm excited, all this kind of stuff. But I also have taken a posture of, okay, the battle's just going to be a little longer than we thought it was. But that just makes the victory all that more stunning and heroic when it comes through. Because look, I don't think the Trump thing is going to end. And I even said this, I probably said it on the podcast too. Like, if Donald Trump wins, 4 years is the terminal end of Trumpism. We know that then, because there is no way that Trumpism survives through a second Donald Trump term. I really believe that. So let's be in a posture of winning. But every day I'm still blown away that we're here. I just can't believe it.
That's based on believing, which I do deep down, that fundamentally we are right about this person and that he will be a disaster again. I struggle as a gift giver because I really like to give a good gift, and sometimes I nail it. But I get crippled by indecision when I can't think about something that I really like. And then it becomes overwhelming, and then sometimes I forget to get the gift. And you don't want to be that person. You want to make sure you're giving something that people will actually like. And I found a great spot for timeless gifts made from premium materials. You got to check out Quince. Quince lets you treat your loved ones and yourself to true quality at an affordable price. Something everyone needs in their closet, in my opinion, is Quince's iconic Mongolian cashmere sweaters, which start at just $50. Their super soft fleece sweatpants are a major upgrade to whatever you're lounging in right now. And their packable puffer jackets are perfect for anyone who's traveling for the holidays, but especially me, who lives in a place where you don't really need puffer jackets anymore, but I need something when I'm going to New York or Denver or Washington, D.C., hanging out with you freezing people. So no matter what you're looking for, all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. By partnering directly with top factories and cutting out the cost of the middleman, Quince passes the savings on to you. And they use premium fabrics and finishes for that luxury feel in every piece. I've had some orders from Quince recently. Just added some more of those aforementioned sweaters. You might have seen me in that short sleeve sweater with the piping. Oof, that looks good. It feels good. It's comfy. It's affordable. Recommend. Give luxury this holiday season without the luxury price tag. Go to quince.com/thebulwark for 365-day returns plus free shipping on your order. That's QUINCE.com/thebulwark to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/thebulwark. Hey, y'all, if you love this podcast and want to listen to all Bulwark podcasts ad-free, join Bulwark Plus today. You can click the link in this description. You'll get the best politics newsletters in the business, and you can become a Bulwark Plus member right now. We'd appreciate it. I think we have to start with the biggest news of the day. I honestly can't believe it took us 10 minutes to get to this, which is the former cabinet pick. Matt Gaetz, your former colleague, I know decently well. Teased this huge announcement. You know, he withdrew from the nomination to be the Attorney General of the United States of America. He said he has a plan that he's going to reveal as an alternative in due time. That plan has been revealed. He is going to be a host on One American News, the fourth-rated MAGA TV network behind Fox and Newsmax and Real America's Voice. And I'm just curious your reaction to Matt Gaetz's huge announcement about being an OAN anchor, and I guess one of my competitors now.
Enjoy it, buddy. Enjoy it, Matt. You know what? Like, you're going to go there and literally have tens of viewers every night that are watching you. Look, as somebody that came out of Congress and has had to, you have to deal with your own, okay, what is life now? And, what's my relevance and that kind of stuff, which you have to go through because anytime anybody leaves Congress, they have to go through these kind of like metric. He's going to be struggling to sit there and go, okay, now I'm a host on like where nobody's watching me, but at least, he'll say crazy stuff and make his news every night or whatever. But it's sad to see how far, honestly, and I mean this, somebody with his talent could have been a generational kind of politician if he'd have done this the right way, if he'd have actually been committed to the rule of law. It's like, take somebody like even Mike Lee, Josh Hawley, or Ted Cruz and say, had they actually been committed to truth and doing the right thing, they could be like these transformational politicians. And honestly, Matt Gaetz could be one of those, but he's incapable of thinking about anything but himself, his own fame, Here's a funny story. The day he gets to Congress, or kind of like the first month, I'm sitting back in the cloakroom, which is behind the, the big floor on the house where we can hang out. And he comes up to me and he's like, "You're Adam Kinzinger." I'm like, "Yeah." And he said, "You're on Fox News a lot. How do I get on Fox? I really want to get on Fox News." And I remember thinking at that moment, like, this guy is going to be a problem. And I was right. And by the way, 2 days ago, he tweets. Now, keep in mind, the almost Attorney General of the United States of America tweets. The only thing I keep hearing about Luigi, whatever his last name is, from my single girls from my girlfriends is he single? Like, this is the guy that was almost Attorney General that's basically like feeding into this, hot guy assassin crap. And it's like, dude, first off, I don't think he has any single girlfriends, but whatever. Secondly, he's just feeding into this.
I mean,
maybe
I don't know.
Does,
based on the ethics report, I don't know. I don't know if I'd be so sure about that.
That's true. That's true. But it just goes to show, Tim, and you know this, like, this is I think at no point in American history, and maybe some super historians can correct me, have we had such a not serious administration. And I just don't think this ends well. And you know what? America voted for it. And I'm like, fine, take it. Let's embrace this.
I don't think we need any super historians to analyze whether or not there have been a less serious cabinet appointments than the weekend talk show host Pete Hegseth. I guess maybe the reports of sexual assault were not quite as rampant in like the 1800s, for example. So, who knows exactly what Andrew Johnson's cabinet was doing in their free time with women. But certainly in the modern era, it is the rapiest cabinet that we've had. I think that's pretty clear. The Gaetz thing, it just is remarkable. I'm sorry, just to put a finer point on it, that like the two doors available to him were Attorney General of the United States of America and OAN host. You know what I mean? Like in other times, like when Chuck Hagel was going to be Department of Defense, and they decided not, and people were trying to push against him in the Obama times. Like, had he not gone in, like I think the alternate choice would have been, I don't know, the Brookings Institute or something serious. Yeah. It's like it's just crazy that those are the two doors for the
and any other failed attorney general candidate would probably go start their own law firm and charge $1,200 an hour.
Right.
And instead Gaetz is like, no, I just can't handle not being famous, and CNN won't take him and Fox won't take him. So he's like, I'll go to the next best thing, One America News.
We've One America's News. Real America's Voice hardest hit. I wonder how they didn't come up with a scratch for that. All right. I want to spend sort of the like kind of the back end of this on Syria, because I know you've been a long time advocate for it. But let's just really quick bang through the nominees. To me, I think Kash Patel is the most dangerous for a couple of reasons. But I'm curious on your case for that. Like, which nominee are you most concerned about, and which do you think might be the most dangerous?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough to think like which am I most concerned about because they're all pretty equal. Look, Pete Hegseth, my concern with him is just ineptitude. It's less about like malice. Now, I do have concern about malice with Hegseth, but like I don't necessarily think he's really anti-American or on the side of our enemies, right? It's ineptitude, which is a huge problem in and of itself. I'm not denying that. The two things I do worry about, Kash Patel, who could literally destroy this sort of bipartisan feeling we have about the Department of Justice, and particularly the FBI, that could do irreparable damage way into the future. I mean, J. Edgar Hoover would be nothing compared to what Kash Patel will be seen in history as, in terms of being an arm of the president to go after his political enemies. So I think Kash Patel concerns me more than anything. And what concerns me...
Might be undergrading Hoover a little bit.
But, yeah, maybe.
Okay, maybe not nothing, but Kash might be too stupid to outpace Hoover, but his aspirations are certainly Hoover plus.
That's right. That's right. But I mean, you even see if it's anything near J. Edgar Hoover, look at the impact he's had on history. Okay. Nobody should know his name, by the way, and they do. And so he's a big concern on that front.
Because, and you're just, having been in there, I think more familiar with this than some folks. Like, to me, the FBI threat to Patel, and why I put him and Tulsi in a separate category from Hegseth. I'm very concerned about Hegseth, don't get me wrong, but there are checks within the Defense Department, and I was concerned about Gaetz, but there are checks within the Department of Justice, right? That they're going to try to undermine. They're going to try to get good people to leave and eliminate those checks. So like, there's plenty to be concerned about. The FBI can do a ton of damage before it reaches any resistance.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like they can just come and ruin people's lives before a grand jury has to get involved, before career officials have to get involved, as long as he has enough henchmen in there. And certainly, despite the claims of the MAGA world that the FBI is a deep state op helping the elites, there's certainly some MAGA people in the FBI. To me, that is the most alarming thing. Just that the amount of free reign he would be able to have.
Yeah, you had a great discussion on this a week or so ago, where it was talking about how the investigation is actually the punishment. Yeah. Look, here's the crazy thing, Tim. You and I are old enough to remember when the Republican Party used to be for tort reform and used to be against frivolous lawsuits. Well, here's what's actually happened, and this is 100% because of Donald Trump, because this is what he always did, so this is what others have learned, is they just file frivolous lawsuits on the civil side and scare people, either get them to concede something or get them to blow a ton of money. Look at Brad Raffensperger. Brad Raffensperger has had to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars of his own personal money, by the way, defending against frivolous lawsuits that claim, Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State of Georgia, that claim that he basically stole the 2020 election. He's had to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars against frivolous lawsuits. This is the threat that Kash Patel pushed to Olivia Troy, which is, if you lie about me more, I'm going to sue you, even though that's obviously not a lie and it's fact. All they need to do is to sick the FBI on somebody. Look, I've had to testify to a grand jury on a case totally unrelated to me. And I mean, the legal bills were approaching $50,000 to $100,000 just to be well represented to testify to a grand jury once. So you think about, if you want well representation, and even if it's a completely BS attack on you, it could actually bankrupt you. And so, yeah, that's very dangerous. It's very intimidating. And again, like we said at the beginning, this is what authoritarians do. They don't actually need to break the law to come after you. They just need to convince you they will, or they need to inconvenience you so bad and destroy your family that you're willing to just comply with them. And this is absolutely the concern with Patel.
Yeah. Woof. Going to Tulsi, and I talked about this with Michael Weiss earlier this week. Let's table the Syria thing, get to that next, but just the intel gathering side of it. I mean, you've had these briefings, right? Talk to people a little bit about what kind of broad remit she would have in this position.
Yeah, so she's basically the coordinator of all these different intel agencies. So you have like CIA, FBI, DIA, which is the Defense Intelligence Agency, all these different agencies, Homeland Security, all that. And she's the coordinator. So she has access to all of this stuff. She ensures that everything's working together. Now, if you've never had a classified briefing, like a real one, not like a perfunctory one, what you'll see is they'll give you it'll say here is the determination of the CIA. This comes through signals intelligence or human intelligence. We have light, medium, or whatever, heavy confidence, whatever it is,
sure.
And they'll tell you, they won't even go into, unless you're super duper top secret, how they actually got that. They'll just say it's like signals or human intelligence because it is so dangerous. You think about, for instance, Russia. When Russia was ready to attack Ukraine, we were basically saying I got that briefing. I was still in Congress, and it's like Russia is absolutely going to attack Ukraine. We have no doubt about it. And I'll tell you, I've never heard an intel agency be that serious or be that definitive. And what you realize is we probably had officers and politicians in the Russian government that were telling us this information. So you think about it. Tulsi Gabbard, for instance, has access to who are these people, right? And let's say she does have affinities towards Russia, or she certainly did to Bashar al-Assad. Now she's going to know who the high-ranking officers or who the government officials are in the Russian government giving us this information. And if you don't think that'll happen, look, I'll just point you to all of the people in the past that we thought were good Americans that would never turn their back on this country that were some of the biggest spies ever. Robert, I can't think of his last name, but in 2002, basically the big spy that had been a spy for Russia for 20 years or whatever. And so, yeah, it's a very serious problem. And, Tulsi she and I were friends up until she went and visited Bashar al-Assad. And she basically said that it was the rebels that used chemical weapons and not Bashar al-Assad, which is insane. That was a talking point directly from the Kremlin, by the way. She also has accused Ukraine of these biolabs, which is another direct Kremlin talking point, which is completely untrue. And you just look, what is it? The RT calls her like basically Russia's darling. She's their mouthpiece. Yeah, our girlfriend. And now she's going to be in charge of the intelligence agency. And the worst thing about this, Tim, is not even so much she was nominated, is that I see good people, like I'll say generally good people, like Lindsey Graham or Tom Tillis or Joni Ernst, getting their picture with them and saying, had a great conversation, excited to shuttle their nomination through. And they know damn well these are totally ill-qualified people.
I've mentioned it before. I've become a mushroom man in my 40s. Never was really into that, the umami vibes, until my daughter started liking mushrooms, and who knew? Me too. And so I've kind of expanded my mushroom brand. There's funny mushrooms, and there are also some warm coffee alternatives that I've turned to. Enter mud water. Mud water helps keep you sharp and balanced through the busiest time of the year. Made from a blend of chai, cacao, and calming adaptogens like lion's mane, reishi, and chaga, mud water gives you a natural boost without the crash or the coffee jitters. Mud water is like your holiday self-care ritual in a cup, packed with antioxidants and wellness benefits that nourish your body while keeping you centered and clear-headed through the chaos of the season. Give mud water a shot and save big, because our listeners get up to 43% off their entire order, free shipping, and a rechargeable frother. Head to mudwtr.com/The Bulwark. When the survey asks, please support our show and tell them we sent you. Each ingredient in mud water serves a purpose. Mudwater's smooth, earthy flavors provide a delicious and natural source of energy. Their OG blend contains cacao and chai for a hint of caffeine and hot chocolate-like flavor, lion's mane for focus, cordyceps to promote natural energy. Using Mudwater is as easy as cozying up on a crisp winter afternoon. Head to mudwater.com and grab your starter kit. For a limited time, our listeners get 43% off their entire order, free shipping, and a free rechargeable frother at mudwtr.com/The Bulwark. That's up to 43% off your order at mudwtr.com/The Bulwark. After you purchase, they ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. This winter, nourish your body and mind with Mudwater, a perfect addition to your self-care routine. Hey, y'all, if you love this podcast and want to listen to all Bulwark podcasts ad-free, join Bulwark Plus today. You can click the link in this description. You'll get the best politics newsletters in the business, and you can become a Bulwark Plus member right now. We'd appreciate it. Yeah. You mentioned that you were friends. I was watching a clip that Katie had grabbed, producer Katie had grabbed from 2017, where she's interviewed by Tapper, where you had tweeted, "I hope you didn't meet with Assad the butcher." Mm-hmm. And she was talking about your friend, it was framed as this is your friend, Adam Kinzinger, somebody you dealt with. So kind of talk about that sort of period. You were, I guess, chair of the Free Syria Caucus and been an advocate for Free Syria. And then she goes and does this. What's the backstory there?
Yeah. So look, we were friends. We had a good friendship, and she, she was always a little more, when I would talk to her about Syria, she was a little less pro-intervention, I guess. But to me, that was it's a defensible position. Yeah, sure. You don't think we should get involved, whatever. And then
non-intervention and pro-Assad are quite different.
Very different. Very different. And so there's starting to be some things where she was like, I don't know, would express some affection to Assad, or at least he's keeping a lid on chaos, whatever that is. And then all of a sudden we had heard that she had gone to Syria. And I mean, literally to that point, we were great friends. And I was at the Republican retreat. So this is right after Trump won. And I was kind of standing in front of the sticks, and they asked me, I may have had a little to drink the night before, who knows? But they asked me, Tulsi went to Syria, and I just basically unloaded on her. And then that led to Tapper asking her about me. And from that point on, we'd never talked again, really. And, look, she just literally went there, legitimized him, because to that point, there had been no American officials that would even talk to him, that would acknowledge that he was a legitimately elected leader. And she changed a lot of that. And look, now we're seeing these people being broken out of prisons, people that had been, in essence, buried in this prison to where the rebels are having to actually dig them out. They had been buried there for years, had never seen the sun, deprivation of all sensory, and you see how evil Assad is, and that's the person she defended. She also is defending the dictator of Russia, who is indiscriminately bombing civilians, for a simple land grab. And now you want to put her in charge of all of our intelligence. It's just really sad. And I think the thing that makes me more sad is not that Donald Trump did it. It's that there's good people, again, quote unquote, people that are allowing this to happen because, gosh, they don't want to lose an election in friggin' 4 or 6 years, which most of these senators are up in.
Yeah. I mean, just having been, I think one of the times we met was at a Syria function with SC Cup.
Yeah,
in the early days when when I was first getting to know you. And so having just sort of been long time agitating for this, I mean, nobody saw it coming. So I guess you didn't see it coming. What was your kind of reaction to everything in Syria?
Look, I had heard rumors over the summer of people saying, and Michael Weiss was one of them, like, hey, the rebels, the opposition could kick up again or whatever. And I just remember thinking, like, how many times have we had the football taken away from us? And then to watch this happen in such record time, I mean, it's quite honestly amazing. Yes, we don't know what the aftermath is going to be, right? Let's just put that out there. But I always also believe it probably cannot, sure, it can get worse, but it probably can't get all that much worse than what it was under Assad, because what Assad did, he was brutally oppressing his people, but also creating an environment where you had these rebel groups anyway, where you had ISIS, where you had extremism. So it's not like Assad had control of all of Syria. He didn't. He created a situation where we have what we have now. So to me, it was amazing to watch it happen. The only sad thing about it is I wish I was in Congress when it did happen.
Yeah.
Because, it would be nice to take to go over there, frankly, and be able to go over and meet.
Did you go over folks during that time?
I went right to the border, actually, as close as we could get. I did basically what McCain did. And actually in 20, I think it was 15.
On the Turkey, like on the Kurdish area? Like on the Turkey side?
And on the Turkey side. And I'd gone over with Evan McMullen, who was a staffer on the Foreign Affairs Committee. He was former CIA. And we actually went over and finalized a negotiation between two groups under the umbrella of the Free Syrian Army. CNN covered it. It was a pretty cool thing. And, but yeah, I mean, obviously that initial push kind of failed and it was heartbreaking, and it's amazing to watch it now. But, look, some of my friends that were heavily involved in this that are now tweeting pictures of people that were found dead, that were, folks that they were working with to free Syria. It's really heartbreaking to see the human impact of it.
Yeah. Though, I mean, to your point on how, I don't know, who knows if it could get worse, or we'll see. But like the stream of people coming back into the country at least shows that among Syrians, there's some optimism, which is something. Okay. My final thing for you, and then I'll let you go, because this is my hobby horse. And maybe I'm wrong about this because nobody seems to be validating my claim, but it's my hobby horse because I think that America playing a role in the world is good. Yeah. And I think it's good to praise America when there are things that we do that have a positive impact, because sometimes we fuck up. Sometimes there are things that are out of our control. We're not omniscient. We don't control everything, but the material and intelligence support that we have provided to Israel and that we've provided to Ukraine over the last 2 years clearly had some impact in weakening Iran and weakening Russia, and the weakening of Iran and Russia prevented them from being able to help Assad. So, I mean, it's a little bit of a bank shot here, but like it did matter, it did have an impact. And I don't feel like there's anybody out there saying, woo, America, hey, this is a win for America. Nobody's doing that.
Yeah, we have a crisis of confidence in this country where we now think that anytime America gets involved, we screw stuff up. And it's just basically PTSD from Iraq and Afghanistan. But America, usually when we get involved, we do make things better. And this is an example of that. Look, October 7th, Hamas way overstepped with the backing of Iran. That led to the destruction of Hamas, the destruction of Hezbollah, the pushing back of Iran, basically getting rid of their secure area around Israel. it led to, Ukraine, by the way, find out today, had some pretty significant involvement in the opposition in Syria against Russia as a way to push back against Russia. Russia is now leaving Syria with their tail tucked in. Iran is hanging on the edge. Obviously, Bashar al-Assad is gone. And a lot of this is because we supplied Israel, who took the fight to Iran, basically crushed him. I could even take this all the way back to the killing of Soleimani, by the way. And this is one thing where, let's be bipartisan here.
Sure.
The Democrats claim that World War III was going to start because we killed Soleimani under Donald Trump, and it didn't. It was actually a really good thing. And that's a good thing for the opposition, is give Trump credit where he deserves it this next 4 years, because then people listen to you stronger when, trust me, 99% of things he doesn't deserve it. Yeah. But yeah, America has stood up. We made a big difference here. And unfortunately, we'll see what happens when old Donald Trump gets in there and changes everything.
Adam Kinzinger, the renegade, free man, walking freely through the streets. Thank you for coming back on the Bulwark podcast. We'll be talking to you soon.